Well, if I look tired, maybe I am. Okay, so I'm in the first part or early part of August, and I've got a lot to report on. I last reported to you in May, at the end of May, going into June. And just to do a quick recap, because of course the update that I gave at that time is recorded, and you can go back and watch my videos all from the beginning of the year to now. But the last video I put up, it was in June, and I was walking through the tiny home, which is what I'm in right now, which I now call my tiny cabin. And I was kind of showing you the plumbing work that was going on. And so that took about, I got the money saved up, like I said, throughout the year. And the first goal was to have enough money to pay someone to finish out the plumbing work. I had a lot of plumbing work done earlier in the year, tail end of last year, end of this year, except the tiny cabin. So I'm just clarifying. So I've had functional water plumbing for certain things up until that time to supply the RV and that I was staying in. So in June, I was able to get with the local plumbing company and hired them. And then, like I said, the previous video to this one, you can go back and watch it. I was showing you progress of them roughing in the plumbing inside the tiny cabin here so that I could be functional and use things better. Okay. So I would say that took probably, it wasn't quite 2 weeks. I mean, it involved 2 week time frame, but it was, they were fitting me in from other jobs they have. It was a small crew, but it was a local company, and they've been around for about 45 years. I have nothing but good things to say about them, and I would and probably will use them again for some other things in the future. So, let me start off talking about that. So, if you'll recall, I like I said, my goal was to save $10,000. So I have, the last update was $10,200, and then in that update, I was telling you what I was going to apply on the current loan that I had. So, for just to do a quick recap, I've been working, or I'll let you know that there's 6 loans in total, some being large and some being smaller, is what I'm trying to tackle, which in May was when I started really working the debt snowball, and with this whole process, knowing that I had reached the income amount that my goal was for my livelihood. And my livelihood, just to be clear, is to be in a place where you can function and you can do the things that you need to do from day to day in your life. And that's what I was lacking. Not everybody goes through that. But if you ever have a situation where you're in that predicament, that should be first and foremost, in my opinion, to get you settled, out of survival mode, all those kind of things. And so I've come a really long way since my last update. So the plumbing, of course, you're always going to run into problems you didn't expect. It wasn't anything terrible or whatever, but they got the outside plumbing done. I had to do a side drain toilet for the bathroom because the tiny home was so far to the ground. And I said this in the last video as a little tip. It was so far to the ground that they didn't have a person small enough to dig and then go, whatever. So as long as I was good with it, they said that they needed to compromise and do the plumbing differently, and also do which by the way, the design of my toilet was not going to be anywhere but to an outside wall anyway, so they went outside. It was a drain out, side drain toilet rather than through the floor. That's the point I'm trying to make. So we had to, even though I had bought a toilet, which now, it was no big deal, really. And just kudos to this company. I'm gonna tell you that even the owner told me when that pivot had to be done, and he knew I had purchased a toilet already. he was willing to take the toilet off my hand in exchange for getting the different one that I needed, and he was willing to work with me and take that off my hands, but I told him not to worry about it, and here's why, right? I have a post frame that is a project as well. It's a future project. But the post frame that was built, it's all roughed in. That's a conversation for another day. But it's all roughed in, and the plumbing is all roughed in. And so all that meant was I don't need to buy another toilet in the future for that bathroom. That's all it really means. So that toilet was new in box in the post frame, waiting for me to bring it into the tiny home. And guess what? It didn't have to move anywhere yet. So that only took a couple of days for them to order it, and at first I thought it was gonna be longer and all that, but it was much faster. So when they were all done with the project, I had everything functional except the kitchen, and that was intentional because I didn't have the kitchen ready, like with cabinetry and all that, for them to install, like a sink and all that. So they roughed in the kitchen. So I have plumbing coming. I have lines coming into the kitchen for drain, and coming in and for the drain out. So that's just where that landed, but that's okay. That's okay. That was all intentional. So now I can wash clothes in here. I can have hot water and cold water. I can take a bath and a shower. I can use the bathroom sink, and I have all my other things, kitchen-wise and all that, fridge, microwave, toaster oven, and I even have like a little drink spout thing. And yeah, so I'm fully functioning here, and I work from home. I work a full-time job, and so yeah. So that was in June. That was happening in the middle of June. I think we started the second week of June on a Monday. Johnny on the spot Monday. They quoted me how much it would cost to do what I was asking. And then I told them, get started when you can. Well, the very next morning they started. There was one day that week they couldn't come out, and they explained all that to me and why. I got my little girl wanting to say hi. And they explained to me why they couldn't come out. Because they had like an emergency job to do. So we talked about it, and they were telling me that I could do a couple of things, or I could do something if I wanted a fully functional shower. I have the shower enclosure and all that, but there wasn't this wall. I wasn't real sure about it. I'm not I'm not a builder, all that. So the guy said, well, did you put up this partition wall? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, if you can get one for this shower built, he's like, we could have you installed in the shower on this project. And I was like, okay, I'll do that this afternoon. So anyway, ironically enough, I'd already cut the pieces earlier on when I was working on this project, before I was really far along really doing it. And I'll tell y'all what, I can do what I know I can do, but if I know I can't do it, like plumbing or electrical, whatever, I'm not touching it. So I had put up a partition wall to separate the bathroom bedroom to the rest of the cabin, and I thought I did pretty good, but I've never done it by myself, and watched videos and things like that. So I was like, I don't know. I started doubting myself after I built my first one, and so I kind of put the hammer down, and I was like, I don't know, I'll have to ask somebody. And so that's kind of just been there. But he says, no, he says, you did excellent there. He's like, but if you can put this wall on this, and I said, okay, exactly what, I asked a couple of questions, exactly what I need to do. And he had me lined out to what I need to do. And I was like, all right. So he left that Monday, and I happened to be off my job that Monday, ironically. I had called them, and it all lined up for when they could come and all of that. So, by the time I went to bed that night, I'll put it this way, it didn't even take me long. I think it might have took me an hour. Again, I didn't have to cut the pieces. I didn't have to cut the 2x4s because I already had them cut in the post frame. I just doubted myself on putting things up. So I got it put up. It looks pretty good now because I've even got the tongue and groove on the one side. And the shower part, enclosure, it's all finished. I could take bath, all that. I could take a shower if I wanted to, but I've been precautious because I've got finished work needs to be done. This tiny home is not completely finished, but that's okay. That's okay. I can function in it, and I'm slowly progressing and doing a certain amount of work each week that gets me just that much further along. So you'll see behind me, by my window, that I've got I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I'm just taking a lot of this on myself just to save money, really. So anyway, I've got the tongue and groove on. You can see right above me there's still some spray foam. So this whole tiny cabin is spray foamed all the way around. And then of course I'm applying the tongue and groove there, and so I've got some finish work to do. See, I've still got some stuff to do, and then I've got to finish out 2.5 walls here, and then I've got to do the ceiling. So this place has come along really, really far. So I will say this, in the middle part of June when this project started with the plumbing, and they were done inside of 2 weeks, and we'll get to the money part in a minute, I promise. I have a lot of updates, so apologize for the length of the video, but I got a lot to say. I'm pretty excited, and I hope my story inspires you in some sort of way, which is why I'm sharing it, because it's just my personal lived experience. So once they were done, I found myself after the couple of days, about a couple of days after, it's gotten a lot off my mind. It's gotten me more at ease. So I've been in the tiny cabin, living and functioning and cooking and, you know, doing all the things I need to do to take care of myself since the middle part of June. And it feels really good. So you could say that I kicked myself out of the RV, maybe. Maybe that's what I did. I go in there on occasion to get something I probably didn't think about that I have in there versus being here in the tiny cabin. So that's a big, big, big plus. So I don't feel so much like I'm in survival mode now with my livelihood. So that was what I really needed to accomplish. There's still to come on some more of that as I go, but I'm not rushing myself near as quickly and as urgently as I was for the first part of this year. I kind of got a little bit more breathing room, if you will. So that's a good sign. All right, so all in all, when I first did the got with them on the plumbing, told them what I wanted functional, all that, the owner misunderstood. It's okay. It's fine. It wasn't anything to worry about. But he kind of misunderstood, and they gave me a first quote, and I mentioned that quote in one of the previous videos. As a matter of fact, I think it was the previous video, because I was giving you an update of how things were going, right, in the middle of the project. But then we had a conversation either later that week or the very next week when they were working, and the owner talked to me, and he was like, oh, well, I might have misunderstood, or there might have been a miscommunication. And he didn't mean with me, he meant between him and his guys, because he has one guy handle what all I'm telling him I want, and he relays it to him, you know. Anyway, super nice people, super nice guys. And so the owner didn't understand that I wanted certain things functional, is what it was. So he didn't do like a price, the additional amount they would charge for the install piece, not rough in, but install. So it's been a learning experience, which is fine. It was a $1,300 increase, not life-changing, so we moved forward. So when they got done, I had paid them $7,300 cash, did not have to borrow. See, that was all planned. So I'll give you the rough math on that. So you know that I had $10,000 for that, plus I wanted some sort of cushion in case something happened. So $7,300 went to them. Then I wanted to make sure, thought I heard something. Then I wanted to make sure that I still had $1,000 emergency fund, right? I didn't want to wreck, you know, if something happened, I don't be like, oh my God, now I gotta, you know, figure out where to get money or whatever. So I've got $1,000 still set to the side. As I still speak to you, I have that in an emergency fund. It's a lot smaller, but that's okay. It's still emergency fund while I focus on my debt snowball. So I decided, I don't have exact numbers like I normally do. And the reason behind that is I have not updated you as often as I've been doing it monthly, and I got off track, and I've had so much things going on, and making sure everything's working, and I'm trying to work full time, build on the tiny home when I get the moment, right? Work my resale shop, resell items through there, and if that's not enough, I also ship out items every day. And there's one other thing I was thinking about, but, oh, maintain the yard, duh. I'm on 2 acres, so it's hot summertime, and so, you know, the mowing and such with that. Okay, so that's what's been going on in my world. And then, of course, 4th of July come around. I enjoyed the holiday, all that, with my family. So that was cool. All right, so seven of that $10,000, $7,300 went to them, $1,000 stayed in the emergency fund. I chose to spend. It was somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500. Sorry, I don't have the exact numbers, but somewhere in that ballpark. On the extra that I had from that, to go ahead and throw it on that last loan I talked to you about, which was like, I had it was going to be like $3,200 something, and it was a personal loan at the bank. So that's where I landed, okay, before I updated you now. So between the last part of May, and then think about it, we've been through all of June, the month of June, and now we've been all through the month of July. And I've taken any sales from my resale that I get, my personal sales, any money I've had left after paying bills, and the debt snowball money. Let's talk about debt snowball part again. I've paid that off loan number 1 early on. I used to pay $50 a month. Well, that $50 a month goes to the next loan, which is the personal loan I'm referring to. So that personal loan, even if I didn't pay anything extra, I talked about this in one of the other videos, even if I didn't pay anything extra at that time during that month, I would pay $150 plus the regular payment on that loan, plus any snowball I used to have, any payment I used to have that I'm snowballing. So I was saying that I would pay at least $200 a month. Okay, so that got paid against it, you know, during each of the months as well. So I had extra, but then I had something kind of different happen. I'm excited to talk about it too. So I'll just put it this way. Whenever I got into July, I'm trying to tell you the sequence of the best events best I know how. Oh, by the way, little side note. It is so hot here in Texas that I had to pivot and make sure it wasn't an emergency, but I took funds that I otherwise could have paid on a debt, and I took almost $600 and bought another window unit, not the portable AC kind, but the actual window unit that it's in a different window, and it goes down and takes up. It doesn't, there's not much exposure is what I'm saying. It's that design where there's not that much exposure on the side of the windows like a traditional kind of window unit. This one's like a U thing, and most of the window comes down, all that. And that had made a world of difference. I really need to do it because it wasn't comfortable here in Texas without it. I'll just put it that way. It's way too hot. So that's one little pivot I had to do in the midst of all this. Okay. So I continued to pay in June and July whatever I could toward this personal loan. And I'm looking at my notes here so that I'm telling you kind of sequence of events here. So when I got into July, I probably had maybe 1,000 and something. No. 2,000 and something. 2,000 something left to pay or something like that. Okay? Somewhere in that ballpark. Alright. Well, July, if you're my friends or family and I talk to you about this, you could ask any of those as I've had this conversation. I've thought about it a really long time. And I'm just going to put it in perspective. There was a reason I thought about it a long time, and there was a reason I would mention it often. I just wouldn't pull the trigger. So I get the electric all done and everything, and I get to thinking one day, and I'm like, you know what? It might be, you go through phases and chapters in your life that you have to, it gets you to think about this and then the next thing and all that. And so I was like, you know what? It might be time to sell the car. So if you don't know, I know me because I probably won't put a picture on the video. I probably won't take time to put the picture, but I could show you a picture if I get around to it. I bought a 2015 Dodge Challenger in 2015 with about 11 miles on it. And it was my dream car. And yep, I went in debt to pay it. I paid it off early. And there you go. Here we are in 2026. I'd had it for 11 years. And as a reseller, I've sold a lot of stuff. I used to help my dad sell the big stuff. The cargo trailer, the utility trailer, the vehicle. Oh, and maybe a vehicle. And, a boat. Whatever Dad had, you could imagine. If he wanted to sell it, I helped him do it. And the reason I say I helped him is when it got to where we had Facebook Marketplace over time and all that, Dad wasn't a computer guy. So I was the computer person. He was the one that understood the components and, what that item had and axles and, all that stuff, right? All the stuff that I would have to ask. Okay, so together we sold a lot of stuff over time. So in saying that, I also know what it's like to be sentimental to something, and I went through one other sentimental thing, and that's since my mom passed away first 10 years ago next month, and Dad passed away 6 years ago. 2 months ago, 6 years ago. And after they were gone, I went through the rough time of selling my mom's car. It was sentimental. We knew how much she enjoyed it. That was hard to let go, but logically you think, everybody doesn't go through this situation, but in my situation, it was, I don't need that many vehicles. My sister was covered. We didn't really need it. We wouldn't have wanted to reduce the insurance to liability. It was all paid off and everything. My mom paid cash for that car. She did not borrow. Go Mom. And so we made the decision to sell it. And that was kind of hard. Listed on Facebook, we did private sale, took a lot of questions, listened to one guy on the phone about why he thought it should be less. I mean, my mom had only had it 2 years. She didn't have all that many miles on it. I don't remember now, don't even ask me. I don't know, but it wasn't that bad. And it was, do you take payment? You can imagine the things that you have to deal with. And I just, I'm sentimental to my car. I bought my car shortly after my mom. But I borrowed. Like I said, I paid off early, all that. I'm not trying to get brownie points. I'm just saying that's how it went. And I thought, you know what? I know how to sell them. I know what's required. I know I have a good title. But I don't want the questions. And I don't want the, why are you asking that? Because da-da-da. Okay, so. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole too far. But I wanted to check a first option I never thought about. And that was instant cash offer. Now, keep in mind, I don't want everybody to get excited when I tell you this, but I took and I did 3 instant cash offers, and I'll just tell them to you real quick, and what I used, or what I feel, you can at any point. Now, caveat, just because you go online and do an instant cash offer, number one, doesn't mean your vehicle qualifies. I don't know what the qualifications are, but it doesn't mean your vehicle is going to qualify. It also doesn't mean that they're going to want your vehicle, right? So you got to think of all the makes and models we're talking about. So here I was with the 2015 Dodge Challenger, a really pretty color, blue, and just under 100,000 miles. And again, remember, I had it for 11 years, one owner, never wrecked, maintained, all that, okay? So I went to kbb.com, and I was kind of laughing to myself. I'm like, I don't know why you're going through this, because you're not going to want to go this route, because, and again, as much as I'm trying to save money, please don't misunderstand. I knew that I wasn't going to get top dollar. I mean, come on, for a 11-year-old car. I don't care what car. I mean, you know. So I was like, you know, I had an amount in mind that was fair. And if they could get any close to fair is where I wanted to be. So, I'm just going to tell you, I went to kbb.com, I filled out a simple thing, it asked you the VIN number, then it asked you what issues it has, front, back, you know, any damage, wreck, salvage title, clear title, all, you know, all the things it needs to know. And sure enough, it gives you an instant cash offer, and it sends it to your email because they ask for your email. But I didn't stop there. I also went to Carvana and did the same thing. What was the other one? I want to say CarMax. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's CarMax, Carvana, and KBB, whatever. So, all the offers were close together. So that was good. 2 of them were not convenient. I would have to go to the Metroplex, drive an hour, deal with traffic, all that at some point, and take it there, and wonder how to get home. And I'm thinking, I don't know about all that. So what worked out was a $10,935 offer for this car, and I could do it locally. And I would not have listed it in private sale for too much more than that. So I made my executive decision that I was going to go see if that offer was. I know it can change. It can change when you go there. Don't ever think it can't, because it absolutely can. But I go there. I'll give you the quick version. I go there the next, because by the way, those offers are good for 1 week. It's 7 days. Not that I was in a rush. I just thought, if I'm going to do this, and by the way, before I ever went to an instant cash offer and even thought about all that, I washed the car, I cleaned out the car, I did the things before I even checked into it, because I was already mentally ready to do something, whether that was private sale or whatever. Like, I was there, okay? So, I go up to local dealership. I took my printout, or not printout. I think I was able to show them the email anyway. It had the offer number. It gives you an instant cash offer number and the amount and all that, okay? And then they give you the participating dealers, by the way. You don't go just anywhere, okay? So there's participating dealers that actually do that, or, quote, participate, okay? I'm telling you this because I experienced it, okay? So that's why I'm telling you this. So don't go off just my story. Everybody's story could be different. I mean, it's going to turn out different, be different. You know, I don't know, right? I'm just telling you from the type of vehicle I had and how it did for me. So I go up there after I got off work. It's not like I took off or anything like that. Like, again, I wasn't in a hurry. So I went Monday evening after I did the instant cash offer on probably like Friday evening or something, or the weekend or something. I don't remember. And I thought, I went in thinking, this is going to be a waste of my time. I hope it don't take long. Right? I was like, I was prepared. I wasn't like in a hurry, rush-wise or anything like that. It was just like, I know better than this. It's too good to be true. Oh, well, maybe it won't take them but about an hour or so. Look at the paperwork and then come out and them give me a lower offer and me laugh at them and I go home. You know, if anybody's dealt with dealerships, sorry, don't mean to offend folks, but that's just how that dealership world goes, just saying. But I've never been on the selling side of it, right? It felt weird because I'm not there to finance a vehicle or buy one. I was like, do you want to buy mine? So that's not normal. So anyway, long story short, about an hour and 45 minutes goes by. And I'm sitting there just watching the local news and whatnot. And the guy that I'm dealing with comes over and he says, well, Miss Gibson, he goes, they said they'll do that amount, no problem. So I found myself selling a car. So because I was local enough to that dealership, they agreed to take me home. So the only thing I had to do the very next day is come and get my check. That's all I had to do the next day. I just dropped by. Their accounting department was gone home or whatever. But anyway, but we did all the paperwork, got the check, all that jazz. So you wouldn't know me very well if you think that I took the $10,935 and went to Hawaii on vacation, now would you? Okay. I'm glad you know I wouldn't do that. Because if you are determined to get your life in a better place, give your money a job. So, I took $935 and I put it toward that personal bank loan. I know that sounds weird. Why didn't you put the whole thing on the truck? That wasn't this. You do how you want to, right? But $10,000 to me felt like a great round figure to throw at the truck payment. Because I'm going to be fully transparent and tell you that when I bought that truck, because I was trying to convert from a dependable car to a dependable truck, and when I bought that truck, I told myself, sometime in the future when you sell that car, you need to take whatever you can get for that car and put it on that truck. So that's exactly what I did. So $935 of that instant cash offer that bought the car from me went on the truck. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So then I continued in July. Oh, by the way, that was July 13th is when they told me they would buy it at that amount. So from July 13th to now, which has only been a couple weeks, the balance I was looking at after paying $935 toward that loan, and I knew that was getting me at about $1,000, I think, payoff. I had, or less. I told you I don't have exact figures on that. I'm so sorry. It's ran fast. The months have went by. When I had extra money for my paycheck, I put it on it, and whenever I made sales, I put it on it, you know. So that's what I've been doing. So it went by so fast, it was kind of a true debt snowball. The snowball ran down that hill pretty fast on that one. So last 2 weeks ago, when I got paid, I was able, at that time, to pay off that loan. Because I knew paying $935 got me so close. And it happened so fast, it was like a whirlwind. So now my loan number 1 used to be $50. Loan number 2 was the personal loan at the bank that I just told you I just have finished off. I mean, I think the pen might be dry from paying it off. And then, in tandem, 2 weeks ago, last paycheck 2 weeks ago, I paid my last electric project loan payment of $813.37. So now out of 6 loans, or 6 debts, not loans, they're not all loans, I have paid off 3. So, each paycheck, when I get paid right now as we currently speak, I say each paycheck, I'm sorry, each month. Let me correct myself, each month. I have a previous loan amount of $50, $150, and $813 that I can pay extra at a minimum, whether I have any extra money or not, on the truck, along with the truck payment. That, my friends, is a debt snowball. So, if you want to take 800, and I'm rounding it, 815, 150, and 50, along with the $485 truck payment, and I'm not done. Let's talk about the car for a moment. I want y'all to really think about this. This is how you can change the trajectory of how you're living your life from month to month and paycheck to paycheck. So let's talk about the car. I didn't just sell the car, right? Yeah, I got a good amount for the car. That was fair. That was the fair amount I was looking for, okay? For an 11-year-old car with almost 100,000 miles. It was I don't even know if it was a full 300 miles to 100,000 miles. Think about what else that did for me. I don't have to get it repaired in the future. I don't have to register it anymore. I don't have to, I don't have to pay insurance every month, which, by the way, was a car I loved, right? I paid it off early, but I still can't, it still had enough value left in it, but that I really didn't feel comfortable going liability on it for all this time. So, yep, don't think I didn't do the math on that. That car was costing me, on insurance, $2,000 a year. So, when you start putting those things in perspective, what I was able to do was I was able to increase my paycheck, because my paycheck, car insurance, I know not everybody does this, but my paycheck, the car insurance, comes out of my paycheck every 2 weeks. So, it's, what do they call it? When you call them up and you say, okay, I sold this car, so I need to take off insurance, and it was full coverage. Prorated, is that the word they use? They say, well, it's going to be adjusted, but it's prorated. So right now, each paycheck, I get an additional $93 on my paycheck because of the prorate. I really think once that catches up, because my car insurance, or my auto insurance, renews every 6 months, and then it just keeps going, payroll deduct. But I think in November, when it renews, it's going to change to a increase of $78. I think it has to do with the prorated stuff. So right now, every time I get paid, and that just started this last paycheck because it had time to do the prorated arrears, whatever they call it, whatever, to where that's not coming out of your paycheck anymore, kind of thing. Adjustment, you call them, and then they have to get communication to change the deduction in your paycheck and all that. Paperwork, blah, blah, blah. So, right now, it's $93.20 each pay period that increased in my check for not paying that vehicle on car insurance. So, that means it's $150, $50, $813, and $93.20 as my snowball amount to work with along with you add, right? You add the item that you are working to pay off, that you're snowballing, that's its regular payment, which happens to be right now my truck, for $485 a month. That is debt number 4, by the way. So now let's talk about the truck. Well, the car's gone. By the way, let me finalize the car real quick. The thing that got me to really sell the car finally, because it was sentimental to me, is one final thing. I've had the truck that I'm talking about I bought, which I love it. I bought it used. I bought it with a bit of miles on it. But I wasn't going to buy a brand new truck. I wasn't going there. Everything's expensive enough as it is. So, I got to thinking, and the car, I'd had the truck for a year now. Right around right now. Maybe a little over a year at this current, as I'm speaking. I drove that car 2 or maybe a 3rd time in the last year. Did I need the car? So ironically enough, as much as I love that car, I hadn't thought about it much. I hadn't really thought about it too much. I'd think about it. I wasn't thinking about it when I was here. Not too much. I mean, I'd think about it when I got the paper in the mail to register the annual, registration paper. Okay. All right, the truck. So at the time in which I sold the car, in July, 2 days in, yes, you heard it, 2 days in, I checked with the bank even. I got the check on one day and the next day I made a payment, okay? No lollygagging. So, I checked with the bank and said, okay, how long do I gotta wait before these funds are available? I mean, I literally just took them in the mid part of the day. It was, I think it was my lunchtime maybe or something. No, it was after that, that's right. I called them, they had my number wrong, so they had tried to call me earlier, blah, blah, whatever. Okay, so I go by the dealership, I get the check, I go straight to the bank and ask the bank, how long is it gonna take before this money's available? They basically said, there is some really small amount today, and then they're like, tomorrow the rest of it. Okay, all right. So I went on and I made a $10,000 truck payment. And at the time, that's what I was getting at. At the time that was all going on, I owed $18,900. I feel like that's right. Pardon me if it's not. I forgot to get that number for you, but it was 18,000 for sure. But I don't know if it was 900 something, 880 or something. Let's just say 18,900. I made a truck payment in July, thereafter, for August, and it brought it down to, let's say, 18,500. Interest accrues daily, I believe. I've never paid so much attention to that in all my life, but I think it does. And so when you log in, you seem to owe a few dollars more. And sometimes it seems like $10 or $20 more. But my point is, I'm watching the account. So, I now owe $8,500, and at the time was $8,515 or something like that. So, I've come around to August, and I know this is a super current update. I did my snowball for the truck because I got paid yesterday. So today I paid $728.20 for this pay cycle, which that included a $485 regular payment. Okay, so that's the total. That's where I'm getting $728.20. So now you can do the math. 85. Let's see. When I logged in today, it said $8,560 and some change. I tell you, you can't keep up with the exact amount due to interest. But that payment I just made is going to knock that down further. So we're talking $7,800 is where I'm at with the truck. Now, I'm going to hold myself accountable because this is August. I've got August, September, October, November, and December. And I have the truck projected to be paid off in December, which leaves me all good things considered, right? As long as everything goes all right. Okay. The truck should be paid off in December. And yeah, that's with the debt snowball amounts and the normal payment. Okay. So that's where I'm at. And so as of the first of the year after I paid the truck off, I will have my 401k loan, which needs a lot of attention, simply because I don't like having a 401k loan. This is my last time I will ever borrow for my 401k. I have done that way too much in my lifetime, so that's just, I don't want to do that anymore. That affects your long-term gain, and there's risk involved for sure. Okay, so 401k right now I owe $22,030, and a payment gets applied every 2 weeks through my paycheck. And then lastly, I owe about $20,000, $20,000. I made a payment today, whatever. Let's just say $20,000 for a good number on the travel trailer, the RV, the 2022 model RV. So, if y'all want to keep being motivated, hopefully, I'm not on here just to toot my horn and all that. That is not why I created this channel. I created this channel to share our stories with each other, and for you to see that any average everyday person like me that works for a living can do this, and if I can do it, so can you. So I have it projected to pay off everything, and this is a tall order, everything, and be completely debt free by the end of 2027. You want to see if I get there? Stick with me. Keep watching the updates. All right, stay motivated. You can do it too. It's never too late to start, and I sure hope I hope this resonates with somebody, that you can do it too. So until next time, hopefully not a long time, I'll give you more updates. We'll be back. Y'all take good care of yourself. Have a good weekend, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye.